Well, good afternoon, Zeke. Good afternoon, Chanin. How are you both doing today?
Doing good.
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And welcome to Rare Awareness Radio. We are very excited to speak with you today as we talked about a few minutes before we kind of went on air here that we are very fortunate to have been connected through the OMSLife Foundation and Mike in this enormous orbit of people that he has. And he's certainly keeping me busy with a lot of opportunity to talk to folks. So I appreciate that. And I really appreciate your time today. I was hoping that maybe we could just kind of start off with just some, real basic introductions. If you folks wouldn't mind just telling us who you are and a little bit about you, that would be awesome.
Well, I'm Chanin, also known as Zeke's mom. That's what we become in life, is so-and-so's mom. So yeah, I'm Chanin, been his mom since he was born, and know a lot of his story more than he does because he was so young when he was diagnosed.
I bet, yeah. I have a daughter myself, so I'm very used to being just referred to as Abby's dad, right? So I get that. Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zeke?
Yeah, my name's Zeke Zaragoza. I'm 24 years old, played football at Oklahoma State University for 4 years. Just moved back home recently, still training, trying to find a way, hopefully, to get to the next level. But
awesome.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So, Chanin, you mentioned a second ago that, you've obviously known about Zeke's story longer than he has because he was so young when he is diagnosed. And a lot of times when I talk to folks like yourself, caregivers, parents, they talk a little bit about the diagnostic odyssey and the time it took. Was that kind of the situation for Zeke, or how did that all unfold for you folks? Because I know everyone's story is very different.
Right. Not sure how detailed you want it. But, normal kid until he was 3 years old.
Okay.
And soon after he turned 3, within days, he just started having some strange symptoms where he was dizzy, and would walk sideways and hit the wall. He would complain that the wind was moving him if he was outside.
Wow.
Yeah, or why is the room moving? He just didn't understand as a 3-year-old how to describe that.
Sure, of course.
So we knew something's not right, and he refused to walk. And so that probably happened within a matter of 4 days. And then we thought, well, this isn't right. So
this isn't right, yeah.
ER, and they sent him home with vertigo. And I'm trying to do a fast version for you.
Sure, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And then it took several weeks, but he was finally diagnosed by having about 25 neurologists in one room at Cedars-Sinai.
Oh my God.
That we kind of plopped him on the table, and his neurologist that was actually working with him said to these doctors, "Hey, these are the symptoms we have. I really don't have a clue what's going on with him." Right. And he had deteriorated at that point where he wasn't able to walk. He wasn't able to sit up. It had taken quite some time. And they said, you know what? We think it's Opsoclonus-Myoclonus Syndrome is what they called it now. I think they have now added ataxia.
Yes. OMAS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so thus began the journey.
Wow. So he was 3 years old at the time.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting what you said too about like, they couldn't have offered you a more non-descriptive diagnosis than vertigo, right? I mean, it's just like such a generic thing to say, right?
They wanted to put a label on it,
right.
They would give an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thankfully, our pediatrician wasn't comfortable with that, and then he kept deteriorating quicker, and so.
Yeah, yeah. And then once you were finally kind of at, okay, we know this physician identified this. Where did you know the location of the tumor? Did he have a tumor at that point in time?
So they didn't find a tumor with him. He had multiple MRIs, some spinal taps, but they didn't find a tumor with him. We began to take him to go see Dr. Pranzatelli in Illinois. We live in California, and he was in Illinois at the time, and he did his testing there as well and confirmed the diagnosis. He was a researcher at the time. But they never found the neuroblastoma. They assumed that maybe the body just killed it itself, or it's post-viral. So we never.
Wow. And I've talked to other, caregivers like yourself where it's viral, or or the tumor was absolutely present and they knew how to potentially try to get at it. But I've also talked to caregivers who were in that space of, is it viral? Is it not viral? You know, there was all these cycles to try to figure that out. So with you guys, it seems like it just, that kind of played its way out, but you never, like you said, you never found the tumor. Wow. Yeah. And Zeke, for you, when did you start to, I mean, you know, you were 3 at the time. So, I mean, I don't remember anything from when I was 3, you know, but when did it start to kind of, you know, when did you start to realize, okay, this is, you know, my life is a little bit different maybe than others?
Yeah, I think probably mostly towards the end. I do remember some of the
Do you? Yeah.
that I was doing with occupational therapy and being scared of, you know, getting put in a kind of hammock thing that they would do. And, you know, it was something that was uncomfortable with me.
Yeah.
And obviously the doctor visits and everything kind of
Right.
showed like, oh, okay, something's different and everything. And I think so around that time, probably around first grade, kind of started realizing it. And then the more and more my mom just continued to embed, like, you know, God gave you a story, use it and everything.
I love
And
that.
she continues to say that and say that. And like, you kind of look into it like, wow, you know, it was crazy what I went through. I do have a story and I can use this story, you know, for the good, or it can just go to waste, you know? So
Right.
I'm very fortunate to have my mom and dad just continue to embed that in me and instill that to hopefully help others and to inspire others.
Yeah, and how fortunate we are today to have you here telling us this story. And I really love what you said there, Chanin, about it's a story, and you have a story that was given to you, and go and tell that story. I continue to stand in awe of people like Zeke and you, as caregivers, as patients, who, you know, you could have just sort of like kept this to yourself, or, you know, work through it on your own, but you chose the different path, which is like, something very awful and terrible happened to me, but I'm going to make sure that other people know, because I want to help those other people who might be struggling alongside of this with me. And that's a very special thing, I think.
I think we look at it as a responsibility.
Mm.
You know, it was given to him for a reason, and we had this journey together for a reason.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, don't let it go to waste. Let's see who we can encourage.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And so, Zeke, for you, as you kind of progress through your, you know, grade school and adolescence, when did you actually start to play ball, and when did things kind of become more, I'm going to use the word normal, although that's probably a highly overstated term to use there.
Yeah. Well, I've been a baseball guy pretty much like the quarter of my first life, right? Or
Okay.
the first whatever that through grade school a little bit. Kind of got burnt out with it. But it wasn't like a contact sport, so it was something like, wow, he is playing, but I think it really put in perspective for me when I was in 5th grade and I wanted to play football. You know, I told my parents and they were kind of like, oh, okay.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if we can, you know, call the doctor and see if this is okay with what, you know, what I went through and everything. And not knowing a lot about everything. So we got their approval, and I mean, they were ecstatic. We were lucky enough to get a hold of the team.
Yeah.
Tell them, hey, this is what's going on. What are your thoughts on him playing? Thinking they would probably say no.
They think, like, let's keep him on the baseball field for now.
Right. And they actually, it was really cool because they put me on speakerphone, and they had the whole team that, you know, had worked with him throughout the years, and they were just yelling in the background. They were so excited. They're like, let him do it. Let's go.
Let's do this. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Considering he was in a wheelchair and told he would never be able to do that. So
right. I mean, like, I'm sure at some point you're thinking about just a life where he's not dependent on you know, accessibility devices or anything else, let alone let alone playing at a top level. Yeah.
Truly incredible.
Yeah. And maybe I kind of fast forwarded a little bit. So maybe, Zeke, would you talk a little bit about your treatment journey, or Chanin, can you talk a little bit about your treatment journey? How did that go for you?
So he doesn't remember a lot of that.
Yeah.
So basically, when he did turn 3, then we found Dr. Penzatelli, and he was able to give the treatment protocol to the doctors at Cedars-Sinai.
Okay.
We had a wonderful neurologist.
So you weren't back and forth to Illinois anymore necessarily.
Well, we did every 6 months.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
We just figured he was the best. You know, at that time, he was the best researcher and doctor looking into OMS and how he could find a cure.
And so we took his advice and opinion, and thankfully the neurologist was humble and took it, and they became a team. So that was really cool.
That's really cool.
And yeah, and so he got on ACTH. We had to give him 2 shots a day. I'm sure you've heard that with some of the other children. So we had to give him the shots for a couple of years, over 2 years.
Wow.
And that was always fun, starting at 3 years old, knowing
right.
that,
Yeah, kids love needles. Yeah, that's awesome.
It was going into the muscle of the thigh. That's painful for an adult. You imagine a 3-year-old. So
little legs.
Make it a game and chase him around the house, until we finally got him, and then we would explain, you seriously have to stay still now, otherwise we're going to do it twice. We don't want to do that. Right. So actually at 3, he was really good at being able to stay still once we corralled him. And so we did that, and then he had to do his IVIG, which are monthly treatments. Had to do that, had to do chemotherapy, go through that. And of course, he had about 2.5 years of physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Wow.
From going from a normal life to a child that could no longer feed himself or drink out of a cup, stack a block on top of another. He had to learn how to do that all over again. When he said the hammock, what he meant was that was part of physical therapy, where he had to, because they're dizzy, they feel unsteady. It's very uncomfortable for them to not feel secure, and so that was part of the therapy, and he hated it. I think that's when it really affected him, that he knew this isn't normal. And the therapists were so great that they allowed his older brother, he has 2 older brothers, but the next oldest one is just 20 months older than him. And because we were doing this 3 days a week for 2.5 years, they allowed him to be able to come in and play with him. So it made it more encouraging for him then to try these things, but he could see he was still different than his brother. And then going in a wheelchair, and then to a walker,
like an assistive device. Yep.
And then being able to do things that he was told he wouldn't. We just pretty much told if he asked for it, we said yes.
Yes. Right. Sure.
And we didn't treat him different. We just thought, well, we're not going to make excuses for him. He can try it. And we'll just keep pushing him and encouraging him.
So this journey, then, if I'm kind of doing the timeline in my head, this is a 2.5, 3+ year journey, maybe longer.
Yeah, he was considered in remission at 7.
At 7, okay, so 4-year journey. Wow, that's incredible. And I've heard this story so many times, like you said, Chanin, of like having to relearn everything.
Everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was so severe that we couldn't even sit him on a couch. Him falling over. He had no control of his trunk. So we had pillows on him. So, and then again, not to be able to feed yourself. He's 3 years old. He was off the bottle. He would, you know what I mean? He was able to do that. And then now he couldn't even get a piece of food in his mouth.
Wow. That's incredible.
So, having to learn all that.
Yeah. And all the way through the age 7, right? So kind of all that catch up that you have to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Zeke, around kind of thinking a little bit about your D1. So I went to a D1 school. I know how unbelievably challenging it is for D1 athletes, not firsthand, but certainly, preferentially, as I went to a D1 school, trying to balance being a D1 athlete with academics and social and everything else. You've also got this other, this other hidden factor on top of it. How did you approach all of that as you kind of entered into your time at OSU?
I think he was just super excited for the opportunity and playing at that level. More so like, wow, not only am I playing college football, but I'm playing college football at the Power 5 level. Like
the highest level.
And for God to really trust in me with this story he gave me, to give me this platform, to know that, he'll be spreading it for good, and just to inspire whoever I can, whether that's other OMS warriors or that's, someone who's going through a mental disorder, anything like that. But I mean, we kind of kept it real quiet, like going into OSU. There was 1 or 2 interviews locally during COVID that we did online. But other than that, she tweeted out a tweet in 2020 after I played in my first game, just stating like, wow, a kid in a wheelchair who doctors thought would, be
gave
able
you no chance. Yeah.
So now playing in his first Division I game, and that tweet it went viral,
Yeah.
and it kind of caught a hold of the internet, and OSU saw that, and that's when they kind of saw like, oh, this kid has a really not, like powerful story, and
Sure.
it kind of domino affected there. Did a story with them, and then it went on from there to get it out.
Yeah, and you've had some, I mean, significant national attention, Zeke. How was that? How's that felt? And it sounds like you're continuously trying to find a way to spin that to more awareness, more, more opportunity for people to understand and reach out. But talk to me a little bit about, having that kind of national attention.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, not because it's national attention on me, but
Right.
it's getting awareness out for Opsoclonus-Myoclonus syndrome. So it's special to me, and it's special to shout out some kids in each interview that I do, just to give them some love, or kids that I've met during my time
Right.
at OSU, whether they come to a game or we just connected through whatever it was, social media. But it's been super cool. It's interesting because you think every interview would be the same, but
Yeah.
honestly, every single one had just a little different twist to it, and whether that's sharing more stories, or seeing other things in a different perspective. So that was super cool to be a part of, and just really fortunate to be able to have at least one interview on the internet to get it shown. Not only the internet, but radio,
Right.
the 700 Club on TV. It's just it's surreal. So it was
It is
really
real.
really
Yeah.
fortunate for that opportunity.
And I actually see you're wearing a Fiesta Bowl t-shirt. Did you play in the Fiesta Bowl?
Yes. So
Yeah.
in 2021, we played Notre Dame at
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals Stadium
Oh,
for a
that's
bowl
cool.
game. So that was a really really cool opportunity to be a part of, and
Yeah.
yeah.
That's exciting. When you were at OSU, I mean, I know, like I said, I don't know firsthand, but I know from being at a D1 school that it is all consuming for you as a D1 athlete to handle all of your obligations as a D1 athlete plus your student obligations. But did you find other outlets as well while you were at OSU, Zeke, or other superlatives you were involved in? Or of course, you mentioned, like, as people started to learn more about your story, they wanted to get a hold of you. They wanted to hear more about your story. Tell me a little bit more about your college experience, maybe just a little bit outside of football.
Yeah. Gee, we definitely we were a tight knit group,
Sure.
us guys, especially my position group with the specialists. So we do it all, like golf,
Right.
fish, and everything like that. But some
That's
other
cool.
cool stuff that I got to do outside of OSU football, but still related to football, was being a part of the 2021 Uplifting Athletes award ceremony.
Oh, tell me about that.
So I was one of 6 participants that got selected for the Rare Disease Award. Just basically, it's FBS players who have kind of used their platform to spread awareness for rare diseases. So I got recognized for that. I was very fortunate to be a part of that. It was a really cool experience. Nothing that I ever expected. It was just kind of, before travel day, I was eating up at the training table, and I got this email like, "Hey, you've been selected for this award."
And you're like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, and I was like, "This is so cool that they're doing this for rare diseases." And it was a total God thing. Like, I never heard about this award. It's on the same award list as the Heisman Trophy and everything like that. Like, it's a actual ceremony that's recognized nationally. So it was
Outstanding.
super cool to be a part of that. Go to Philadelphia, the Eagles Stadium, and
Oh, wow.
have it presented.
Is that the same year they won the Super Bowl?
No, I
No.
don't believe so. I think
Yeah.
the Rams wanted that.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I know Philly's won it in like the last 5 years, right? Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It was
In 2021 it was
okay.
when we got the opportunity to go there, but it was super
so
cool.
Did somebody nominate you that you didn't know, or was it just that because of the press that you had been getting, they saw it? Or I'm kind of curious as to how they even found you.
Yeah, I would think it's from the press, seeing the stories and all of that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it was surreal. It was a total God thing. Never even heard about it, and I, getting reached out for it, I was like really, really just fortunate for that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Chanin, I want to ask you a couple thoughts around, you mentioned you have 2 other children, and you and I talked before, you have a career. You're an advocate. I mean, I've, again, I stand in awe of people like you who are working as a mom, as a caregiver, as an advocate, as a mom to other children, as a career professional. Like, tell me a little bit about how you blend all of that together.
Well, it was tough because you
Yeah,
wanted to keep life as normal as possible for the other two.
sure.
So unless he was in the hospital, when he was, we were both my husband and I were with him, and thankfully they have godparents who were able to,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, help out with them, take them to school, do a couple things with them, and then just really just trying to keep it as normal, having date days with each of them,
Mm,
so that they felt that they were getting the attention that they needed as well. Continuing their life is in baseball. They both were baseball players, played at the collegiate level as well in
hmm
baseball.
hmm
So just making sure that we kept it as normal as possible for them.
Yeah.
And really, I didn't start my career until after he went to school.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough that my husband was able to provide for us until
Mhm.
then.
Yeah, yeah. And Zeke, once you kind of made the transition from baseball to football, did you? Because I just thought of this as you mentioned your other children who played baseball at a collegiate level. Did you keep two sports, or did you kind of lean completely into football at that point?
No, I was kind of hopping around every sport. I kind of got burnt out with the travel ball with baseball just because it was either me playing or I was going to my brother's
One of your
travel.
brothers, yeah.
I was just over it. It's something that I wish I carried on because
Mm.
baseball players usually have a lot of swag and a lot of people like baseball guys, but football's cool too, I guess. But no, I played in fifth grade. I started football. It was a rough year. I was chunky
Mm.
from the steroid shots and everything from
Yeah, yeah.
all the treatments. So obviously I had to play up in age groups. So it
Wow.
was rough. I kind of stopped after that, and then once middle school hit, we had flag football there. Got into that a little bit, and then freshman year of high school, obviously went out for the football team because I was more. Everyone was kind of the same size, so it was like okay,
Right,
you
right.
don't have to play up or anything. And then from there, it's kind of the rest is kind of history right there.
Yeah,
But it wasn't until going into my senior year when I started actually long snapping, learning how to long snap,
yeah.
because it was just my parents instilling like, again, you have a story, and God wants you to use your story. So
Right,
it
right.
was like, okay, I'm not the biggest guy to play college football, so what other routes can I take
Mm-hmm.
position wise to allow me to get to the biggest level? So that's when I kind of figured out about long snapping through another teammate that did it and who trained. So from there, it kind of just went through that.
Yeah, that's another thing, and not to make this too much about football, but I'm always interested in specialists like yourself, right? And people that are a part of special teams and have these very specific skill sets that you probably took you a very long time to develop, right? But they're so integral to the success of the game, right? I mean, how many games are decided by special teams, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so many. A dropped punt, this, whatever. Like it can really be a complete game changer, as they say, right? So when did you started leaning into that, as you were at OSU or before OSU?
Before OSU,
Because
so
that's kind
going
of what.
into my senior year of
Okay,
high school.
okay, and that's what attract. That's how OSU became attracted to you, because of the special team skill.
Yes, a
Yeah.
few years after that, just
Okay.
because since I was a late bloomer, I
Yeah.
went to a very, very small NEIA college.
Okay. Yep.
Played football there. Didn't really transition well there. Ended up coming home early, stopped playing there, came home, took that semester off, and then eventually enrolled in junior college, and that's kind of where it started getting, like picking up.
Clicking for you.
Started,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting more reps in at the field with friends that I've met who are
Mhm.
specialists as well, and yeah, from there it kind of just took off, and I really was really driven to like, all right, you know what, I came back home, kind of felt like a failure, but I was I just wanted another chance to kind of prove to myself,
Yeah.
my parents, like, I am a man.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't mature first coming out, but I really was kind of just aiming for the stars.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. And got them right. I mean, like you said, how many people get to play at a Power 5 D1 level in a Fiesta Bowl, I mean, that's pretty special for sure. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit, both of you, please, about the sort of advocacy work that you're doing right now. I know you're involved with OMSLife. I know you're involved in other things. What are you kind of focused on right now in your advocacy?
So he's really, when he was younger, I was more the one that was involved in sharing his story. And then
Right.
I kind of given him the reins
Yeah.
and, allowed this to be his story to really embrace and tell and be responsible for. So as far as I go, we're going to be the keynote speakers at next year's OMS conference, which we're
Oh,
really
amazing.
looking forward to meeting more parents. I've been lucky enough to connect with families over social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been able to really encourage that way or be encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
So we love to be encouraged too. And then he's pretty, he makes me proud in the sense that he finds these kids and he wishes he had someone, that
Yeah. It's so amazing to think about like how a young kid like can talk to you, right? Who is going through what you went through.
Yeah.
And how are you finding these kids? Are you're just finding them on your own, or how's that happening?
A lot of them have been on like the Facebook group that OMS Foundation has on Facebook with her. I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah.
But she usually connects them with me, and throughout the years, I've continued to develop a relationship with these people. And then also at OSU, just people reaching out, even from different countries,
I bet.
whether
Yeah.
they're reaching out with the DM or just shooting me a follow, and then I see, oh, they have a little one with OMS as well. So either I'll DM them or they'll DM me first, and we'll kind of connect through there. And something that I really tried to do was just kind of build a relationship with that, like checking up on them. How's so and so doing? How are they?
Right.
Like, what's the update on them? And then really just kind of trying to either send a signed picture, a card, or
Yeah. Something, right? Yeah.
something, just so that we can build that connection like more intimately, and it's not just through the phone and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to build really strong connections with these kids and these other families, and I'll FaceTime one of these little guys named Grayson every now and then. We'll talk on the phone, and it's just awesome because their parents say that I make their day, but really, they're making my day.
They're making yours, of course. That's
so awesome to have.
It's so great too to think about how especially where we really live, sports is this great connector for people, right? And I'm sure, like you said, the fact that you're sending them a signed card or a picture or something to kind of deepen the connection, right? And people can rally around the connection that is playing sports, even at any level, but especially at the level that you've been playing it at, right? It's such a great way that you are using that for good. So thanks for doing that, first of all. But that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You talked about at the beginning of the call for just a couple minutes that you are thinking about your next level. You said you're training. What is next for you, Zeke?
Really whatever God has planned for me.
Yeah.
I've been really trying to lean into that. Whatever your will is, your will be done.
Yep.
It'd be awesome to obviously play in the NFL. That's a lifelong goal that I've had ever since I've started playing football.
Right.
When you start playing sports, you think of
how do I play at the most elite level? Yeah.
The most elite level. Yeah. And my mom always tells me, like, she doesn't think my story's over yet. And whether that's going to the next level and continue to play, or whether that's becoming a speaker and doing it at these conferences that we're going to do next year. So right now, the next step is hopefully playing in the United Football League.
Oh, cool.
The UFL. It's a newish league. They just conjoined with the USFL and XFL. So there's 8 teams. I have a specialist combine coming up in December that I'll be able to showcase my talents in front of scouts. So that's the next step. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. Going to be doing a lot of praying. Along with my training and prep for that. But that's the next step.
Yeah. So I mean, training for the combine is going to be pretty much all consuming. I can imagine it's coming up quick, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. In the town where we live, we just got an arena team actually this year. So they played their inaugural season last year. Those games have been a lot of fun, and they're getting a lot of traction. So hopefully that'll keep going.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. And how about for you, Chanin? What's on your immediate horizon? Like you said, you guys are keynoting, but what else are you focusing on right now?
Well, I'm one of his coaches.
Yeah.
His dad and I go to the field with him. His dad catches the snaps and I video.
I was gonna say, yeah, I bet you're the film crew. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm part of the film crew. But really, just supporting him. And, that's really it. Just supporting him, and however I can be used, I'm happy to do that.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding. Well, once again, Chanin, Zeke, thank you so much for coming on today, giving us just a little glimpse. I know it's a long and very amazing story. So thank you so much for just taking the time to give us a little glimpse and tell us about what you are doing. And what I am just so impressed is the hope that you have, like, and just the faith. I think to me that's the most amazing thing that I've learned about you in the last half an hour is just your faith seems to be unwavering. So that's amazing. That is truly amazing. But once again, Chanin Zeke Zaragoza, thank you so much. Best of luck in everything. And we'll be keeping a close eye on what happens next with you. So thank you again for taking some time to speak with us today.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.